Lykke.
Felicidad.
Bonheur.
快乐
Wunderlichos.
Glücklich.
Felicidade.
Geluk.
Happiness. What does that mean for you?
Usually I say that my favorite things in life is traveling and connecting with other people. And as I grow older, I realize how that really is true. I have a really good example that also combines my two favorite things. It was back when I was an au pair in Spain in 2020, and I was taking this trip with a girl that I met online because I had no friends. I had to establish my own network from the bottom. And I met this girl on Facebook and we ended up chatting and we just really got along well together. And then one day we went as a group to the coast, like a city called Lloret de Mar. And it was the first time we met. Like we've been texting, but that was the first time we met and we realized we just had a lot in common. And I remember very specifically going back home. We were on a bus. Her name is Chiara. She was from Italy and we were sitting next to each other listening to music. And I looked out the window and it was like night, but you could still see all the mountains and you could see the stars and the moon. And I remember feeling so much gratitude around that. And then the most precious thing happened because we weren't talking. We were both just kind of listening to our own music. But then she writes in a note on her phone and she's like, I think I love you, like platonically. And she showed me it. And I just remember feeling like I immediately understood what she meant with that it was like meeting a soulmate. And so I feel like that's a perfect example of what I mean when I say my favorite things are traveling and connecting with people. Yeah, that was really, really precious, a really precious memory to me.
So a lot of times people would say that I'm a happy person because I bring a lot of energy into the room and into groups. But I don't always feel that way internally. So sometimes it's true, sometimes it's just a projection.
I see it as sort of like a oxygen tank, not oxygen tank, oxygen mask, and like a airplane where it's like you have to literally put it on yourself first before you put on the person right beside you. Because especially with my struggles with like mental health and like early like university, it's like when you're not happy, you're gonna very much just like cast that effect onto like other people, and as well as like kind of struggling with like therapy or like self-therapy or like talk to somebody, and like I like open to somebody can be helpful, but it's like I feel like it's only for like very like minor like concerns. Anything that's like explicit or like gravely concerning, it's like I believe like you have to try push that on yourself. As a person, since like other people, they're already dealing with their own shit. They're already dealing with all of their other like own personal issues. So it's like you really can't really rely on them to like suddenly fix it by saying what they hope to get. Since like when most people give advice, they give advice they wish they actually used. Like 90% of advice given to like other people or like advice people haven't given like themselves, because they learn like from their fuck ups and hoping you could take that at least to see if it works. So like it's very much like you have to very much build it upon yourself first, because if you try to spread that happiness to other people without actually being a happy person, it just like gives like catastrophic like results.
To me, happiness means either beating myself and noticing that I've become better at something, or helping others achieve their best, or best of all, the combination of the two. So helping myself and others at the same time.
I hate what I'm gonna say because I disagree with it so much. But I think for Singaporeans, happiness for a lot of people is doing well in school, having money, and being able to live a comfortable life. I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to live a comfortable life. And in fact, I do agree that having a comfortable life will allow you to do certain things that will give you even more experiences that could help you experience happiness. But as for the grades side of things and having a certain high social status or sort of thing, yeah, I think a lot of people in Singapore try to always be better than somebody, and they feel happy when they know that they are. And that doesn't make me very happy, but for them it does.
So I think, especially in Germany, happiness is very often tied to achievement. And there's this general trend towards more, meaning happy, whilst maybe in other cultures less can mean happy, or like having less, or being just happy with what you have. Yeah, I feel like we're quite maximalist in that sense, that we always strive to do more, do better, and find happiness within that.
Singapore tries to nurture the people as their resource because we have no natural resources. Like another country might have oil products or, crops and things like that. But Singapore doesn't because we're so small, and yeah, there isn't much. That's why they always invest in the people to make that their resource. And so, of course, if that's going to be the emphasis, then the people are also going to be really competitive as well. And I think when that is the pressure and that's all you think about, then of course when you come out on top, you're happy.
That's a word, a concept that's we're very, very known for. It's called hygge, which just kind of explains a concept of feeling good about the present moment. That something in the present moment is nice and it's cozy and you're having a good time with whatever the present moment is. I think it's trying to make whatever you're doing even more pleasant. Like if you're hanging out with people, you might also turn on some nice music, or you might turn on, light some candles, and then you're like, oh, now this is really hygge. Like you're trying to just take whatever situation and just make it a little bit more cozy and comfortable and nice. Yeah.
I think happiness for me is felt most in a positive, exciting experience. I know some people have it when they're calm and they feel safe and everything, and maybe self-assured, which I agree with, but I think it's even more when, like I said, I don't expect it. And when an event is something that you don't expect, of course your heart's gonna race a little bit, and for me that is what excitement is.
I don't think peace and joy is the same thing, but I think when you find acceptance and peace in something, I think that feeling is equal to happiness. How happiness and joy are to me, happiness is a feeling of peace, and joy is oh, I'm happy and I'm excited, and those are different feelings. So I think peace is the closest feeling to happiness. Maybe it's even the same for me.
Happiness is sort of adding these building blocks of just making you feel okay about yourself. And every single experience you have, no matter how long it lasts, it's gonna at least make you a lot more open to who you are, and a lot more accepting too, which I think that's the main thing with happiness as well. I feel with happiness it's no different than finding sort of the acceptance in yourself, and especially how the world works in general. So it's my idea of happiness is not rather just the pure emotion, you're jolly, you're just so excited to get out of bed every single day. My idea of happiness is more the sort of sense of being able to be comfortable with how you work as a person, and also with how the world works.
I think, for instance, when you travel and you have to do a really long travel, let's say you're traveling on a plane and it takes many hours, or you have to do a really long layover somewhere, and it could be annoying you, but you could also if you're aware of what's going on inside your mind and how you reacted, you can also choose to look at it differently. And I think at least when you accept that sometimes things are just the way they are, you can start, I think it's gonna automatically change how you feel about a situation. If you accept it, I think that's where the peace will eventually come from.
Spontaneity for me in my favorite form is really when you meet people and you don't expect that you're going to meet them. You don't know how this relationship or this friendship will turn out, and that makes me excited about life, because you're always meeting people in life, but only if you dare to put yourself out there and dare to ask people. So we stay at Filderbannplatz, right? And from my friend's kitchen, if you look down, you can see other flats and other people's windows and kitchens. So there was one guy that was cooking. Then I looked down. Then he was waiting for his thing to cook, so he was also looking out the window. So you know what I did? I waved, I opened, I shouted down, and then we played scissors, paper, stone. And then I won. And then he said, okay, that sucks. But I guess I have to give you dinner now. So I was in my friend's flat, right? So we went down and then we had another dinner. We already finished dinner, but we had another dinner. So now we have more friends. Anything, something like that. I love it.